A time for everything, in which I acquire a carpet, lose a friend, and blame the horses. There was a time when people found solid proof that the earth was flat. When Pythagoras declared that the earth was round, I imagine his Facebook friends dropped off like flies. Humans have a history of building bunkers to keep the universe from blowing our minds. Andrea Gibson. 1. The Mourning Room. Sweet gum leaves scatter like a damp carpet across the grass that flows from the house to the barn. We inherited a series of yard carpets when we moved into this place. Actual carpets spread on the ground like exterior rooms without walls, which is how it should be. As I learned the movement of the mowers, my seat and legs shifting over the hills and humps in the same way they'd flow with the rhythm of a horse, I accidentally mow the edges of these carpets of woven plastic in my need to chop just one more blade of grass, in my desire to make all things smooth for at least a day before the wildness creeps back in. I pick the gnawed straws of the mowed carpets up piece by piece to keep them from the birds. We call the room my father died in the Mourning Room. The cats gather there and play in the boxes. I've barely touched the room since he passed. It needs a couch, I think, or another armchair. It needs a carpet. Without a carpet, the room is nothing but high-walled storage, a depository of junk and loss. My first trip out to assess and appraise my father's own crowded house, I planned to take his couch, blue plaid and small, barely long enough for 2 people. But as I push the cobwebs back and enter his door, the couch is gone. In its place are 2 brown chairs. I have no memory of my father getting rid of his couch, or where he acquired the chairs. I gather a coffee table and the chairs, a side table, medical supplies, and my father's Smith & Wesson. The previously missing firearm is its own story. Christopher and I pile these things high in the truck, and when we arrive home to the farm, we stack them in the Mourning Room. I will do something about them when I purchase a carpet. The room has off-white carpet, a nightmare for a farm of dirty boots. I scour the internet late at night for a rug that will suffice, a rug that will do, because I will leave these boxes stacked and unopened without some boundary to piece the room into order. I need something cheap and ornate. Something that will hold up to animals and dirty shoes, making a quick pass through to grab supplies from the closet that smells like history and mice beneath the old staircase. In between stealing my father's furniture and securing the rug, I sit with my friend who is dying in the hospital. She asked for falafel and spiced carrots from the Middle Eastern restaurant that only takes cash. I think about the rug sellers in Turkey and how my friend, like me, always moves to an asymmetrical beat, the notes sliding together and the melody lingering, never resolving. I think about how the horse's canter is hard to teach because most people have never moved to an unfixed beat. Riding is like belly dance, fluid, complicated, our core strength concentrated into a single focused action. My friend and I talk about the farm and how she will soon visit us and pet the horses' faces. Her face lights up at the thought of a horse's face, their eyes, their noses, their smell, their smart mouths feeling the depth and contrast of things invisible to the human touch. Later in the week, a new visitor at the farm, someone who has never stood beside a horse until this moment, reaches out and says, "The horse is sacred." All that mystery contained in a face. I asked my friend in the hospital, who is always sensitive like a horse's mouth, if she can see deeper beyond the horizon now that her body is tired from treatments and recitations. Her face, again, lights up as it does at the thought of a horse's face. Oh yes, I can see so far into the mystery now. On the night of my friend's final journey, I unfurled a rug, still creased from shipping, in the mourning room. I began the process of clearing out my father's death to make way for new loss. As with all things, I don't know what I'm doing in this moment. I think I'm moving forward and finally ticking things off my list. The rug is easy to clean and an ancient design. I am dissatisfied with its cheapness and dull colors. But this will do, I think. I can live with this rug until I find a couch, until there is money to spare, until there is more time to take the curtains down and strip the white paint off the old mantel. Timing is only visible in hindsight. I can't know the hour of my friend's death. I am convinced she will live forever. I placed my father's items, the things that were a part of his daily life, his boxed ashes, in a cabinet. I closed the wooden door gently. I flipped through the framed art and photographs stacked against the wall and consciously mark and pound the plaster with nails until each picture finds its place, something to rest my eyes on. I sit in the armchair and I consider the room, mostly for the first time. I note how the new details change my perception, how the four same walls are imbued with a new meaning. Like going on a trip to clear one's head, we allocate through novel surroundings. The next morning, I sit in the armchair of that changed room in the morning light as I read the text message about my friend passing. I was just messaging her the morning before. And I think about what Tamar Reno said as I held vigil for 3 weeks during my father's slow, unconscious journey, so protracted and long and drawn out. I'm paraphrasing here, but Tamar noted what a hospice nurse had once said to her. Our journey from this world to the next takes as long as it needs to take for us to sort through our unfinished business. I take note of all the boxes still stacked against the wall in the morning room, and I pick one box, just one, to empty. 2. A time for everything. While the rest of America fights over standard time versus daylight saving time, Christopher and I cross paths at odd hours as he covers varying shifts at work. Rising at 5 a.m., I finally see him in the gray, foggy twilight of 9 p.m. as I throw last hay and he walks the fence lines around the farm. Christopher is a wholly nocturnal bat. He finds phosphorescence with his UV flashlight and sends me photos of glowing mushrooms and bugs. My vote is for daylight saving time. Christopher and I meet in the fluorescent hallway of the barn, blinking our eyes into focus. He tells me that he found Bentley lying down in the grass beside the cemetery while he searched the field for Friday's reflective collar that the bay gelding likes to roll off his neck when the gnats are bothering his eyes and his skin is itchy. Christopher is amazed that Bentley would trust him enough to lie down and take a nap. I start to panic because Bentley, like Christopher, is mostly nocturnal. He naps during the day and keeps watch at night. Something isn't right. We find Bentley by the dull glow of the horses' reflective collars in the dark, and for the moment even Friday is wearing one. Bentley is upright and pacing, pinching his ears at Friday to move out of the way. Friday likes to be bossed, so he moves without question. Bentley is not stretching down to graze grass like the other horses. His head hangs low, and his hooves dig ruts in the damp earth. Bentley is not showing the classic signs of colic, the up and down rolling to relieve pain. Bentley is no stranger to gas colic, but he has, fingers crossed, knock wood, and make the sign of the cross, thrived under the constant natural movement of 24/7 turnout in the fields. He paces past me and pauses to snuffle my hand. I ghost his path for a while, flummoxed and curious as to what is bothering him. He seems annoyed that I'm still there, but desperate to tell me something through our interspecies language barrier. "What's up, buddy?" I run my hand along the glossy black hair of his neck, and I call out to Christopher as I feel, instead, a topographical map of ridges and lines. The length of his skin is inflamed with angry welts. Christopher runs across the field to grab Bentley's halter as I search causes with trembling fingers on my phone. I've experienced a horse with hives before, but the skin felt softer, more tame, and what one would generally think of with hives. Bentley's skin is hard to the touch and rigid with waves like sand on the smooth shore of an ocean. I text the veterinarian and jump to conclusions as I wait for her to answer. Bentley must be dangerously dehydrated, I think, or he has muscle wasting disease. We move Bentley into the barn where there is light to see by and cold water to hose him off. The vet is convinced that he has hives from fire ants or ground wasps, which settles my mind. I search our stash for dexamethasone or prednisone or 40 Benadryl tablets. I syringe anti-inflammatory meds into his mouth. I grind steroids into a mash of grain. Bentley thinks the prednisone tastes like trash, which is a positive sign. I dissolve 10 more tablets in water, and he politely takes it and swallows in increments of milliliters. What a good boy, as Christopher holds his face. We fluff the bedding in an empty stall and scrub and refill the water buckets. Bentley's head hangs low beneath the fan. I watch him until he feels well enough to begin nibbling hay from the pile of alfalfa leaves and stems in the corner. I think about how earlier in the day, before his skin showed signs of battle, Bentley had been acting spooky and troubled. I had dismissed him and fussed at him to be brave, to behave. I'd blamed his emotions instead of listening to the language of his body. On an average night with a normal schedule, we would have missed the taut ache of Bentley's night-dark skin. I send a thank you to my friend who passed over that morning. I'm finished pretending that we don't have invisible allies. There is too much in my life that I cannot explain. I'm tired of trying to rationalize the mystery. I clean the cobwebs and corners of the barn and set up a camera outside of Bentley's stall. I text the veterinarian that she needs to keep us on retainer or a monthly subscription for all the messages she returns in the middle of the night. I think about the conversation the vet and I had in the gravel driveway of the old farm, minutes after we had laid an old black pony to rest. It's been almost a year to the day. We talked about the creatures and the people who had gone on before us and how they work from a distance to give us wisdom in this life. I am so lucky to live in the intersection of faith and science and to be surrounded by so many helpers along the way. This is what I know for certain. After last hay, the horses gather still beneath the moonlight. Their tails brush the thick air of midsummer. Their heads bow in deep reverence to the night. In the rhythms and the cycles of the day, they know when to rest. And so do I. And so do all that came before me. Love, Kim. P.S. The greatest gift you can give this farm is your prayers and encouragement. If you'd like to do more, every like, share, and comment on my weekly Stable Roots essays and social posts helps more people discover our work, and it doesn't cost a thing. You can also subscribe to Stable Roots, free or paid, or support our ongoing restoration of Lavender Hill. However you choose to join us, I'm just grateful that you're here.